Welcome in, welcome in. It is a Wednesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Maurice Patton joining you here from the Lee Company studios of our humble abodes. Mo is not outside in front of his brick wall. That's an inside brick wall.
It's an inside brick wall.
Hey, people have exposed brick now in apartments, and I love it. I think it's one of the coolest features that you can have inside of a home or apartment, and they're super cool. So anytime you can get some exposed brick, I'm in.
The only thing is they tend to be super cool because they're
Yeah,
not always
they're well
insulated.
insulated. Yep.
So yeah, that would be particularly on a day like that, like this, that would be a likely issue. Yeah. But no,
Other
I'm not.
than
I am not outside. Anybody that knows me knows that.
well, which is better than that poor girl who covers the Buffalo Bills who they had doing a live
But
hit
that's part of
outside.
the problem, as Eric Henry was saying. Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about the Buffalo Bills. I've
Yeah,
got my anecdotes
the
twisted. Never
poor
mind.
girl that they have covering the Buffalo Bills, man. She's outside doing a live hit. It's like, can we let her go inside, please?
Oh goodness, yeah, sort of like yesterday with Mike Herndon.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get
That
these
was
people
his
inside.
choice, though. That wasn't our
Yeah,
choice.
we didn't ask him to go outside. Yeah, he did that on his own. So yeah,
Oh man. Well, we
yeah,
got a
I'm
good
not
show.
asking anybody to go outside in this.
No, no,
Not
and
for
it's
me.
not getting any better.
No, no, it isn't. I mean, right now in Franklin, it is. Hang on.
A
Oh wow,
balmy.
it's up to 27 degrees.
Mm, That's colder than it is here. It's 30 degrees where I'm at.
Well, and the high is 28, so I don't know if we are coming back down from that or still working our way up to 28. I'm not sure how much it matters, really, but
Our high is 31 and it should reach that in the next hour. So
mm,
we'll see. I don't expect it. I don't expect it will make much of a difference. Matter of fact, we just turned the outside unit off. We're just like, you know what? We're going to be in the house. The sunroom is off limits.
off limits.
Bring
Yes,
the toys inside.
nobody's going out there. The low here was -2.
-2. That's insane.
It really is.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
None. Zero. Zip. Zilch.
And, and
Nada.
it's not helping when it's affecting our coverage of sports.
Well, it's affecting our coverage, and as we spoke in our staff meeting earlier today, it's affecting my psyche.
Yeah,
Because cabin fever is real, y'all.
I told Sarah, I said, I'm gonna have to get out. We need sugar. We don't have any sugar to make tea.
Oh,
And
oh,
we need
that's
sugar, we need diapers, we have some pull-ups that we can use in a pinch, but
you gotta have diapers.
yeah, yeah. And
That's that's
we need apple
that's even
juice.
more of a must-have than the sugar.
Yeah, and we need apple juice for the kids. And I said, I'm gonna have to go to the store today. And she
Got to.
said, for what? And I said, for sugar, diapers, apple juice, and sanity.
Not necessarily in that order.
I mean, seriously, that's how I feel. Like I need,
Yep.
this is tough. And she said it Sunday. She said, "You're going to be in the house all week with us. Like, are you prepared?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. I'm well aware that I'm not prepared to be dealing with this
This
24/7."
for the undetermined future.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much longer this is going to last. So
Mm.
yeah, we'll see if we'll see if anything pops off on Saturday.
Is it supposed to get better over the weekend? I sure hope
It
so.
it is. It is. I mean, it's the sun is like, I mean, I know it's supposed to rain a little bit tomorrow, but like the sun's supposed to be out all weekend.
I know it's a high of 19 on Saturday
Hmm.
before we get back to somewhat normal.
Right. So
we may be out of school Monday in addition to the rest of this week.
maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not real worried about it because we can't really do anything about it. There's nothing we can do.
There's no really to it. There's nothing we can do about it but ride it out. But I mean, I can certainly opine.
And exactly. Man, we got a good show. We've got Christopher Carter going to talk a little bit about the Steelers and their situation.
Catch touchdowns.
That's right.
And Steelers.
And what he doesn't do is steal Kenny Pickett's car.
Thank goodness.
I really I know that probably he got crossed up in that some way. I got to hear. I know there's a story.
Especially on Wild and Wacky Wednesday in particular, we got to ask him about that.
Absolutely. 100%. So we'll talk to him. And we'll talk with Terry McCormick, of course, about the Titans and now the defensive side of the ball. Who are the untouchables? Who do you build around? Joe Sullivan joins us, talk a little Nashville hoops. I assume that Vanderbilt and Belmont are playing tonight. Northern Iowa coming in here going, what, this?
What's your issue?
what's
Y'all
the
freaking
problem,
out
guys?
over this? Come on now.
What's the problem, fellas?
Hey, in Chris Carter. Come on, man.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then, of course, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, plus much, much more. So all of that is coming your way in just a few moments. But right now, we'll get you to the results of yesterday and the schedule for today on The Rundown.
This is The Rundown.
Men's college basketball action from Tuesday night. Dalton Connect with 39 points as Tennessee defeated Florida 85-66. He's only averaging 37.5 points in his last two games. No big deal. Alabama with a 93-75 win over Missouri, and Nate Oates in the midst of that, literally. Georgia with a 74-69 win over South Carolina. Arkansas defeated Texas A&M 78-77. In the NBA, the 76ers defeated the Nuggets 126-121. Suns with a 119-117 win over the Kings, and the Clippers defeated the Thunder 128-117.
High school basketball scheduled for tonight. Check your local listings. Springfield at Kirkwood and West Creek at Whitehaven. Both of those scheduled for 6.
I feel certain that second one ain't happening.
I would think so. But
I can't imagine
it's a long
anybody
way
from Clarksville going to Memphis to play a basketball game tonight.
Yeah, right. So my assumption is West Creek, Whitehaven not happening, but Springfield, Kirkwood, who knows?
Yeah.
Men's basketball tonight on of interest, nationally televised or in the SEC. Creighton is at UConn on Fox Sports 1 at 6 o'clock. Also at 6 on ESPN2. Mississippi State is at Kentucky. Ole Miss is at LSU at 6 on SEC Network. Following that will be Auburn at Vanderbilt at 8 p.m. on SEC Network. And then later tonight on CBS Sports Network at 8 o'clock, it's Northern Illinois. Same difference. Northern Illinois at Belmont. Yeah. And then in the NBA, the Magic are at the Hawks. That's on Bally Sports Southeast at 6:30. Bucks at Cavs on ESPN at 6:30, and at 7:30 on ABC, it's the Mavericks and Lakers. There was an NHL game scheduled for tonight. That game has been postponed. Chicago and whomever they were playing were supposed to be on TNT at 6:30 tonight. They are not. So
Mavs and Lakers actually on ABC?
Yeah, on ABC.
That's wild. Okay.
I don't know what's not happening tonight that leaves the spot open, but ABC it is.
That's interesting. I may actually try to watch that Bucks Cavs game. Try to check out Darius Garland.
Well, if you do, enjoy. That's your rundown.
There we go.
Top stories brought to you by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. They've got fresh hand-cut meats, great produce, and delicious daily deli lunch specials. Make sure to go see the fine folks at the Piggly Wiggly. Down home, down the street. Piggly Wiggly can't be beat. Now,
Did you do that on your own?
no, that's used to be in their in their commercials.
All right, cool.
Now, Bally Sports has been a topic of discussion on this show for a while because they've had some issues, and we have been very curious as to what is going to happen to our local teams, the Predators, the Grizzlies, the Braves, the Hawks,
Both on a professional and a personal basis, we are concerned.
very concerned. Now, they may have been thrown a lifeline. We talked about this a little bit back, where Amazon has infused Diamond Sports Group with $100 million, earning a 15% stake in the company, like they were on Shark Tank, I guess.
As long as it wasn't Mr. Wonderful, we're all good.
and will make them a minority owner in the company in the midst of their Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This is a big deal because it appears that this will solidify the NBA and NHL rights. They will continue for the lengths of the contracts held by each of the 26 teams across those two leagues. And that would be great for the Predators and the Grizzlies. No agreement has been reached by Diamond Sports and Major League Baseball, however. Tentative plan was to shut the business down in following 2024. And that Bally's will forego the naming rights for Diamond broadcasts after the MLB season concludes. Amazon Prime is where you will be able, or you will be able to see games on Amazon Prime going forward. My assumption is that blackout restrictions will apply. So if you live in New Orleans, don't expect to get the Grizzlies. You'll get the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a big deal because Bally was not available unless you have certain cable providers. Now, anyone with an internet connection in the footprint can watch their local teams if they subscribe to Amazon Prime. That's huge.
Say that again.
If you subscribe to Amazon Prime
Mm-hmm.
for any reason,
You can get
and
anybody?
you live in the footprint of your team,
Okay.
that's the team you get on Amazon Prime.
Mm.
And that's a big deal because, again, it eliminates the need, for folks who had Hulu Live, for folks who have Dish Network and don't get Bally. Now you can get it via Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I mean, so it's better for those folks. I still don't understand the blackout thing. I mean, the idea that you are only a fan of the team in your area is kind of Neanderthalish to me. And I just feel like you ought to be able to see anybody anywhere.
I think that would be okay if you were able to pick a team. Because here's the thing, the NHL is not going to give up the rights like ESPN Plus. Every game is on ESPN Plus, but you have to buy center ice to get it. Like, you have to buy a package to be able to watch every hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
Or NBA TV. You have to buy that package. It's just like Sunday Ticket, right? Like,
Right.
But I agree that I may not be a Predators fan. I might be a Blues fan if I'm in Jackson. Right?
You might be a Blues fan if you're here in Nashville. You might be an Avalanche fan if you're here in Nashville. I mean, the way people move around these days.
And I think if you could
And I don't
pick a
think
team,
I don't think that audience is being served.
right, because you have to pay a lot of money to get your team.
And
that's not fair.
Hard.
I agree. It's not fair. And so I agree with that completely. I do think it's very interesting though that Amazon is going to be the partner here. And I think it's the perfect example. What I didn't know is that apparently Amazon and Bally did this without the MLB even having an idea, even knowing it was happening.
Okay.
Because there was a scheduled hearing on Friday between Bally and MLB regarding the Rangers, Twins, and Guardians who do not have 2024 contracts.
2024?
Correct. Those three teams do not have contracts for this year.
3 months?
Correct.
Oh, God.
They do not have contracts to show their games on Regional Sports Network in 2024. There was to be some sort of negotiation between MLB and Bally's to make this happen, to get them there. That is now a very up in the air situation. I think the negotiation is going to change at this point because now Amazon is involved. Now Bally is going to exist under Diamond Sports, or whether it's Bally's or not, it may be something else. Mm-hmm. But that regional sports network under Diamond Sports is going to exist post 2024 MLB, whereas it was not beforehand. So how does that change the negotiation between the Guardians, Rangers, Twins, and this RSN? It's going to be really interesting.
Put this under stuff I shouldn't have to be worried about.
Right. And we aren't necessarily worried yet. I mean, I think we obviously have to be worried post 2024 baseball. Mm-hmm. How does this affect us going forward after this NBA season, this Major League Baseball season, this NHL season? How are we going to watch our teams going forward? We need to know. I think this is going to be very simple. There's going to be a regional sports network that carries these games, whatever it may be called, whether it's Bally's or Binion's or, or whatever. It's going to exist, and it's going to exist simultaneously on Amazon Prime. So here's the good part. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do it for the $15 you pay a month right now, Prime users.
And that's another issue.
Well, it could be. But for those of us who don't watch television outside of streaming services, because I can watch ABC through Hulu. I can watch everything I need to watch via the streaming services I have, Paramount Plus, etc. If I don't have to pay anymore, or if you don't have to pay, if you can get the Braves and everything for $15 a month, why are you keeping DirecTV? If you can get Discovery Plus for $10, you can get Amazon Prime for $15. That's $25 versus $75. Mm-hmm. Maybe it puts a little money back in some people's pockets. That's all I'm saying.
That's never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to this to this all playing out because you never know what television contracts are going to look like. The Pac-2 right now is saying, we told you told us streaming wasn't an option, that streaming wasn't good enough. And now look. So anyway, I think it is a very interesting thing to watch happen and
Well,
play
I think
out.
it's an ever-evolving landscape.
Mhm.
And while streaming may not have been an option for the Pac 2-3 months ago, maybe things have changed. I don't know. It's all
Perhaps,
above me.
perhaps they could have. Mo, let's take a break. Christopher Carter is standing by. We'll talk with him about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their coaching situation on the other side of a break. Stick around. Main Street Sports Days presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint, and we'll be back in a moment. Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
We're back live here in the Lee Company studios, our humble
Plural.
abodes today. That's right. With an S.
Two
Not
of them.
normal. This is not normal. We have to say that because maybe our guests think we're
Always like this.
always. No, we have an actual studio. We just can't get to it. That is why we're here.
We could probably get to it,
But why?
but I'm concerned about who we might have to encounter in the process of trying to get to it.
Yeah.
To be honest. So
No, it's just easier for us to just do this from the house,
Hmm.
at least this week. And that's what we're going to do. But I'm excited to talk about this next topic, Mo. We've been talking about Mike Tomlin for a while, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think that he's not going to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He certainly doesn't think he's not going to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024. So let's get into it with someone who may have a little more knowledge. And that is-
I'm excited to talk about it with this person in particular. Christopher Carter of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, who you can find at Carter Critiques on Twitter. And his Twitter bio says alum, Pitt Law and Cheney University. Chris Yao, I'm not sure if we're smart enough to talk to Chris Carter, but man, we appreciate you taking some time with us. Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You come highly recommended by one of the best friends of the show, Nebias Wilborn. So
He's the man.
He is. So you got something to live up to here. But let us ask you this.
Sure.
Do you prefer Christopher or is Chris okay?
Chris is fine. Christopher is my resume name.
Got you. And
My dad told me when I started shortening my name because I was lazy that if he wanted me named Chris, he would have named me Chris, but that didn't stop me. And so I'm still Chris.
There you go.
yeah, but before we get too deep into the Mike Tomlin situation, Chris, our Chris has a question for you.
Sure.
So as you can see your the lower third there with your nice photo. When I Google Christopher Carter, Pittsburgh, I gotta know, was there a situation where you may have been mixed up with a guy who allegedly stole Kenny Pickett's car?
Now, as you ask this again, he's an alum of Pitt Law, so you feel a little bit better about his not being involved in this, but at the same time, we gotta ask.
Did you offer your legal services to Christopher Carter?
To Chris Carter.
No, I did not. He wouldn't want it anyway. But no, it's actually really funny. When I was in Georgia hanging out with some friends when that happened, I was taking some time off, and then I see before that ESPN alert even goes out for the world to like see that, I start getting bombarded with text messages from like my friends, like my reporter friends, and they're like, "What did you do, man?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then I see the alert, and I'm like, "Oh no!" And then like I'm literally walking around like the ballpark area, like around the Braves. I forget what that area is called, but like the Braves Stadium,
The Battery.
Yeah, the Battery. Yes. So I'm walking around there, and I'm hearing the ESPN go earlier. Wow, some guy named Chris Carter stole Kenny Pickett's car, and I heard it like 5 times, and I'm like, all right, this is getting scary. Like, I hope no one knows. I hope no one figures out that's my name and then asks me something. But I turned it into a funny segment on my Locked On Steelers podcast where I took a book and I was like, here's the Steelers playbook, and let me tell you what's in it. But yeah, that was good times.
When I was looking for it and I saw it pop up, and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal, because Wednesdays on this show we do a segment called Wild and Wacky, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, and this fits on Wednesday here.
For sure. Less wild, less wacky.
Well, it would be, Chris, if it happened.
Well, it would. I guess it would be a little wild and wacky if it happened. Chris, what is this Mike Tomlin stuff?
Sorry, what'd you say?
What is it? Do you think it's a real possibility that the Steelers have someone else as their head coach for the 2024 season?
No. Well, so first of all, we have now heard of like sources confirmed everything. Mike Tomlin told the players already he's coming back next year. And so that's out. Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, I told everyone there was a question when the Steelers fell to 7-7. They were 7-4. They were a game out of challenging the Ravens for the 1 seed in the AFC, and then they lost 3 straight to 2 win teams and the Colts, and that dropped them to 7-7. At that point, I said, okay, this is probably the closest they've been to like thinking this is a possibility, but let's see how this season plays out. I still didn't think they would fire him, but they might not like renew his contract after the 2024 season, but not the 2023. But then when you finish with a 3-game run, I compare this to Bill Cowher and how he was handled in the late 90s, because Bill Cowher came in, won with Chuck Noll's players, and then as those players moved on, the Steelers started to stink. They went 3 straight seasons missing the playoffs. 2 of those seasons were losing seasons, 7-9 and 6-10. And then in 2000, when Bill Cowher had one more year left in his deal, the Steelers went 9-7 and he got an extension. And some people are asking, why would you give a coach who's missed the playoffs 3 years an extension? And the Rooneys simply explained it's because he never let the locker room get away from him. And you saw how they rallied at the end of the season. Sure, they missed the playoffs in 2000, but that team believes in him and he believes in them, and that's what we want to invest in. And lo and behold, the next year they were the number one seed in the AFC playoffs. About 5 years after that, they were Super Bowl champions with Bill Cowher, which got him his Hall of Fame honors. But that's what the Rooneys have been. They believe in giving coaches space to work, letting them, if they have the locker room, if the team believes in them and they believe in the team, they're going to let them work. And there's no doubt Mike Tomlin has that with his team right now. You go and you listen. I was in the scrum talking to TJ Watt yesterday, and he said in his contract, when he was negotiating $30 million a year and all that, something that he needed to have was knowing that Mike Tomlin would still be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you had Cam Hayward coming out and saying, why are we even asking Mike Tomlin about his future right now? Why is that even a thing? Like this guy is a great coach. He's locked in. He's not a problem here. You have the guy, Cam Hayward, who's been the face of the Steelers for many years, literally carried the flag onto the field with Franco Harris's number the week that he passed away, and they were retiring his jersey in front of all the Steelers fans last year. Then you have the best defensive player on the planet in TJ Watt saying that guy is the reason I want to stay here. And people think that there's a question in the Steelers organization about Mike Tomlin. There isn't. There's not. He's sticking around. And in fact, I believe personally, this is not based off of, I'm not saying I have a source. I'm not saying just knowing how things work. I believe within the next 2 to 3 months, you're gonna see an extension story, maybe for another 2 years, and then we'll revisit this in 2 more years where the Steelers are, and then they'll make another decision. But I fully believe Mike Tomlin not only will be back in 2024, but he'll be here for many years beyond.
Wow. Well, I have no reason to think that you don't know what you're talking about. So to me, that's great news to hear, because I've said for a lengthy period of time that Mike Tomlin would have a job before the Steelers had his replacement if he was to ever hit the streets. So I agree. And part of it's because, and I think that the reasonable people in Pittsburgh know this. First, I want to make this clear. The Steelers don't have the problems with Mike Tomlin. A lot of it are outside sources and outside people that are saying, hey, the playoff drought is too much. You got to move on. And listen, 7 years without a playoff win is a problem. You want to find answers. That's not a thing. Like, they want to find answers. But if you look at the Steelers rosters over those past 7 years, and you ask yourself, how many of those were real Super Bowl contenders? Maybe the 2017 team before they lost Ryan Shazier, but once they lost Ryan Shazier, the defense fell apart and the offense, had too many turnovers in the playoff game to set them behind, and they didn't score a single time when the game was within one possession. Then in 2018, Le'Veon Bell doesn't show up. In and they fall just short of the playoffs as Ben Roethlisberger leads the league in touchdowns, but also interceptions. 2019, you lose Antonio Brown. Ben Roethlisberger goes down with an arm injury, and you scrape together with a duck collar at quarterback in the fourth stringer. 2020, Ben comes back, sure, but now you don't have AB. You still don't have Shazier. You still don't have Bell. And Ben was good for the first half of the season, but then fell off at the last half, and they fell off. 2021, Ben's last year shell of himself. 2022's rookie season, Kenny Pickett, and then 2023, you just saw what happened. None of those. Maybe the 2017 team was potentially a Super Bowl contender if they had not turned the ball over too many times in that game. But other than that, you look at it, I think Mike Tomlin, more often than not in those 7 seasons, has gotten more out of that team than I'd say 95% of the coaches in the NFL. And so then if you look at that and if you're honestly assessing it, you don't look at this and say, oh, he's the problem. He has to go right now. I think it's an honest assessment of the Steelers had a quarterback who was a franchise quarterback and a future Hall of Famer who aged out of his prime, and they tried to load up to help him. They tried to do everything they could to give him weapons. It didn't work out. And a lot of those players are gone. Marquise Pouncey, Ryan Shazier, David DeCastro, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Stephon Tuitt. All those guys were Pro Bowl to all pro level players, no longer on the team, and they're finding answers to fill for them. It takes time to rebuild that, and especially with a franchise quarterback. The fact that they've remained competitive while doing that is a testament to Mike Tomlin. So that's where I think that there's outside criticism of Mike Tomlin, but inside the building, I think the Steelers understand, respect, and honor Mike Tomlin and want him as the coach moving forward. You made an interesting point, Chris, that I think kind of gets overlooked when the Pittsburgh Steelers over this stretch are considered. Losing Ryan Shazier and, the way you lost him.
Yeah. I was there when it happened too.
I don't know that impact necessarily gets the attention that it deserves in terms of where the Steelers have been since.
No, I agree. I mean, Ryan Shazier, people have to remember that year he was leading like the NFL in the combined pass breakups and interceptions. Like he was on fire as a cover linebacker while also stuffing the run. When he was on the field, they were a top 10 defense. When he came off, they were bottom half of the league. And that was the issue they ran into because their defense was still recovering. That was TJ Watt's rookie season. He was still figuring out who he was. The secondary was still coming together. I think they had just gotten Joe Hayden, but they didn't have Minkah Fitzpatrick. Terrell Edmonds wasn't even drafted at that point. They were stringing the secondary together with Artie Burns and guys like that. They needed Ryan Shazier to make that defense formidable. And when they lost him, that was a team that needed to win purely on offense. So again, Ryan Shazier is not the only one, but all pros. Marquise Pouncey was one of the best centers of the decade in the 2010s. David DeCastro, one of the best guards in the decade of there. Le'Veon Bell was one of the most dominant forces at running back. And when you lose all those guys after those guys are gone, it's going to be a problem. And the real problem and the real shame of all of that is there was never a playoff game where Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, and Ryan Shazier were all healthy in the playoffs that they lost. And that was the thing that was the core that they were trying to build around. But you think back to it, 2017 is the only time they lost when Bell, Brown, and Ben were all healthy. 2016, they lost. Bell was out that year. 2015, they lost. Bell and Brown were out that year, and Ben was on a bum shoulder because he got a dirty shot from Vontaze Burfict. In fact, all three of them got took out by Vontaze Burfict that year. 2014, no Le'Veon Bell. They could not be healthy in the playoffs throughout that stretch with the core that they had built, and then eventually their time ran out, and it ran out even shorter with Ryan Shazier. But there's so many things that happened to those teams. And again, that's not to excuse Mike Tomlin from things. It's just reasons adding up to say, like, he didn't win with these guys. Okay, but he didn't lose with those guys. There wasn't a single playoff game where that core was on the field and all of them were healthy and they did not deliver for you. With the games the few playoff games that they won. I think that's something that gets overlooked in that narrative.
Christopher Carter. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
This just continues to solidify that having a quarterback is the most important thing in this situation. Yep. You can be a fantastic coach. You can be the best coach of all time. You can be a mediocre coach. If you have a quarterback who is good enough to win football games in the NFL, you're going to be successful. What he's been able to do without one is what makes him the coach he is and the reason that they are capable. That being said, go ahead.
No, which brings up the next question. Who is Kenny Pickett, that guy?
I think we're still finding that out, and that's the unfortunate part for the Steelers. This was supposed to be the year they found that out, and they didn't. They didn't even find out if he wasn't the guy. Like, there's some people in Pittsburgh that think, yeah, move on from him. He's done. He has like the lowest touchdown percentage of any quarterback that's thrown X amount of passes. There's that stat out there. But the Steelers, if you look at him in games that he started and finished as a quarterback this year, the Steelers were 7-2. And part of that was their offensive game plans were not great. Their organization in the room was even worse than that. Like, I even said all throughout the year, I'm like, the play calls aren't the biggest problem right here. The execution is the problem. But I think that when you see the systemic problems of how the execution consistently lacks in quarterback eyes just being in the right spot. And I'm a guy who I covered Kenny Pickett in college. Like, I covered him at the University of Pittsburgh. I saw his ACC championship run and the years before that. And I was like, man, this guy has command of the offense and he looks like a real commander on the field. He hasn't had that with the Steelers. And part of that, I think, has been he's been unsure where to go with the football in different situations. And I think that's the lack of organization that happened with Matt Canada's offense and the way that he ran that room. I said that for most of this season. And I think towards the end of the season, he got 1.5 games without Matt Canada. To start, he started against the Bengals. That was the week that they broke 400 yards of offense for the first time since 2020. They won that game, and then he was doing okay against the Cardinals, and then he got knocked out of that game, and then he never played again this season. And so that we never got to see Kenny Pickett without Matt Canada. So I think there's a sense in the Steelers organization that, hey, you want to give that guy a fair shake because he's a first-round draft pick. He's fought hard for you. He works hard. Like, there's no doubt that Kenny Pickett, like, he's not going in saying, oh, this is just easy. This is my job. I don't have to work extra hard for it. Kenny Pickett's in the film study room right now probably cooking up something that's on next year and how he needs to do better with things. But I don't think that's also going to stop the Steelers from looking elsewhere because they also know that, listen, like, guys like TJ Watt, guys like Cam Hayward, they only got so many cracks at the apple, and they are bites at the apple. They only got some more chances. And so you want to try to find this quarterback soon because you have a core that if they get a quarterback, like this Steelers team, as it constructed against the Bills, if they had a Josh Allen level quarterback, they win that football game. Josh Allen, I think, was the determining factor that won the game for Buffalo. And, Mason Ruff was I thought he gave a valiant effort for a guy who was a backup and didn't have, all the ton of experience. I thought he came in and fought, but you could see the clear difference between Allen and Rudolph, and that to me was the biggest factor outside of the Steelers' 2 turnovers that put them over the top. So I agree with you. Quarterback's the issue. They gotta find it. I think there's 2 things they should do. A, they should re-sign Mason Rudolph. If they can get him back for about $5 million, great. If a team wants to pay him $10 million, that might be too much with the other things they need to add in this offseason. But then they got to find another quarterback, whether that's a Justin Fields. I wouldn't give more than a 4th-round pick for him, and I think that won't be enough to get him from the Bears, which is why I don't think he'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Or they could go get a Russell Wilson, a Kirk Cousins, somebody, a veteran who doesn't cost you a boatload of money. Bring them in and say, Kenny Pickett, can you hang with this guy? And if you can hang with this guy, then you're the guy. But if you can't, that guy's the guy for now, and we reevaluate. Or you draft a quarterback and you say, hey, Kenny and Mason, y'all duke it out, but you got Jaden Daniels or someone there behind them working with you. Either way, there needs to be a new 3rd person in the quarterback room. I think Mitch Trubisky's going to be gone in a little bit here. I think there needs to be a new 3rd person in the quarterback room. Kenny and Mason need to have a shot at being a starter next year, but that 3rd person is the other person that will be an interesting X factor to how that plays out.
It's a great, and I think you're exactly right, especially with as deep of a quarterback draft as this is. Mm-hmm. It feels like this would be the year to take one and try to figure it out. That being said, one of the reasons the Steelers have had their struggles is because they consistently make the playoffs and they have to draft in the, 18, 19, 20 spot every single year. And that will eventually catch up with you. Mike Tomlin feels like the type of coach who gets more from his talent than others do. When you look at his staff, is there anything on the staff that needs to be changed? You talked about how there was some issues in the quarterback room and some issues on the offensive side of the football. Where do you see the staff changing in the offseason?
I think the staff is going to change mostly on the offensive side of the ball simply because they need an offensive coordinator. And listen, I think Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan deserve credit for coming up with some good game plans in the tail end of the season, bringing the offense together and making them formidable. And they're part of getting this team to the playoffs the way they did. But I think this is an offense that you need a new face to that. Mike Tomlin, there's no doubt about it. That guy is a defensive first coach, and he needs a good to great offensive coordinator with him. So I think, run the offense, design the offense, get things behind that, and move that forward. And they need a person who's used to doing that in the NFL. Matt Canada, his best experience was in college, and I think that they took a big swing there and they whiffed badly. And now that was a swing into an experiment. They need to swing at a person who knows what they're doing, and that means an Eric Bieniemy, a Kellen Moore, a Brian Schottenheimer, a Clint Kubiak, whoever you can get that is available, that could come your way, that knows how to organize an offense and a modern offense, not an old school, old timey offense. And you can still run the ball with a modern offense, but a modern offense that will make things easier on your quarterback so that you can have a game manager type quarterback lead the way for you. That is still not out of the NFL. Like That's what the Niners are right now. Brock Purdy is a game manager quarterback. He's a very good game manager quarterback. And I say that because a lot of people hear game manager, they think, oh, you're insulting him. No, I'm not. I'm saying that guy knows how to manage games, and he may not have the best arm talent, the fastest, the biggest, natural raw skill, but he knows football, and he's well coached, and he knows how to be well coached. And there's serious value in having a guy like that. So I think that's where the Steelers need to find an offensive coordinator that does that. I would keep a guy like Eddie Faulkner. I think that he does a great job with the running backs. I think you might want, but you want to let your offensive coordinator pick some staff that they know and they trust to come in with you. Defensive side of the ball, I know Terrell Austin's contract is up, but they just had a top 10 defense year scoring wise in a year where they had all TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, the three kings of the defense. They had them fully healthy for 2 games this season. And if you had told me that, I would have said, well, the defense is going to be very mid this year. And they were mid in some ways, but that the bottom line was they kept them in games that gave them a chance to win a lot of the games early on in the season. And that makes you a good defense. I would keep Terrell Austin. I think they have some really good assistants. Denzel Moore, I think their edge rusher guy, outside linebacker, he's the best out there. I'm taking him. I think that he's going to be Denzel Martin, excuse me, not Denzel Moore. I'm mixing up Dan Moore, but Denzel Martin, he is one of the best position coaches, I think, in the NFL, and he's going to get a call up, I think, to be a DC someday. But guys like Aaron Curry, Grady Brown, like they have the assistants on the defensive side of the ball. They're fine there. I think offense, you need guys that can reorganize that room, know how to talk to Kenny Pickett, know how to talk to any quarterback, and know how to get an offense pointed in the right direction and organize that group so that they're a much more efficient unit.
Christopher Carter joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Chris, as the offseason continues, man, it is wild right now. It's the wild, wild west, and I don't think this is the time to be getting to a coaching search if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so
or if you're Christopher Carter.
Yeah, so
coaching searches are no fun. So
they are not, especially right now with everybody needing one. So I think we go back to what you said early, is that he's got the locker room and he's told them he wants to be the coach, and so that typically means that he's going to be the coach in Pittsburgh. So I guess we can kind of put these rumors to rest, at least down here. Mike Tomlin will not be available for the Tennessee Titans to choose as their head coach in 2024. Sorry.
That is
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
For us. Yeah. That's awfully unfortunate, but it is what it is. Chris, go ahead.
I was just going to say, personally, I didn't agree with letting go Mike Vrabel. I thought that sure he had some struggles, but like that's a dude who I think gets it. I think that's a guy who understands what it takes to be a head coach. And I think that unless Tennessee finds the guy that they want, I know a lot of people want offensive-minded head coaches, and I get that. That's a trend in the NFL right now. But Mike Vrabel's a dude who, when I listen to him talk, I know exactly. I'm like that guy knows what he's doing. It didn't work out in Tennessee this year, but you know what? A lot of things didn't work out in Tennessee this year. I think that he would have had, if he was given time, he would have turned things around. But I am very intrigued to see who that organization goes with next.
We're intrigued to see who they go with next, and we're intrigued to see where he goes. So,
yeah.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you taking time with us today, man. We look forward to reaching back out in the event that some Pittsburgh news is worthy of talking about here in Nashville.
Absolutely. Hit me up anytime.
All right,
thank you, sir.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have some portal talk. It's broken. We've been saying that, but is it more obvious now? We'll discuss on the other side. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, before we get into this portal issue, you put something in the chat here.
Yeah. Golden State Warriors assistant coach Dejan Milojevic, I guess, suffered a heart attack during a team's dinner last night and died. Their game against the Jazz tonight, I think it is, has been postponed due to a medical emergency in the Warriors family, is how that's being characterized. So, yeah, that's, he was 46 years old.
Unfortunate news.
Yeah,
Jeez.
certainly unexpected. So, hate to hear that for the Warriors and for his family. So, just saw that come across and wanted to mention that.
Let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal. Obviously getting a little extra attention these days as the University of Alabama. Yeah. The University of Alabama, post Nick Saban's retirement, is now down 26 players from its two deep roster. Now that includes graduates, those who've declared for the draft, but also transfers. 26 of their two deep.
But don't you have to differentiate between those graduates and those NFL draftees and the portal folks?
I mean, you could go through it, but there are far more transfers than the other two combined. Like 66-33 is the split. And the reason it's getting the attention is because obviously the portal is only open to Washington and Alabama players. Well, and I guess Arizona, San Jose State, South Alabama, etc. But it's only open to teams who or players who are on teams where their coach has left. Alabama obviously being rated pretty heavily. And folks think that this is a problem. Be careful
now, because when you say they're being rated pretty heavily, you are inferring tampering, Chris?
I'm not saying.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying. Particularly when 6 of those transfers have gone to Florida State. 6. That's a lot.
Maybe they should have hired Norvell.
Maybe. And this is potentially another issue if and when Jim Harbaugh leaves
Michigan
to take the Chargers job, the Raiders job, the Falcons job that he interviewed for today. Once that happens, it just feels like the last team to make a move or the last coach to make a move, that's the team that's hurt the worst.
I guess what I don't understand is, why would you leave? And maybe I'm being a little naive when I ask that question.
I mean, obviously things have changed, right? Nick Saban's no longer the coach, but Nick Saban's still in the building.
Well, it's
Nick Saban's
still Alabama
program. It's still Alabama. There's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can say as far, why leave Alabama? I guess I can understand, Arizona or San Jose State or whatever. I mean, but even still, if that's where you can play, that's where you can play. What does trying to make a lateral move makes?
And again, as I asked you when we were talking about the possibility of Lane Kiffin going to Alabama and then leaving Alabama, where do you go when you leave Alabama, particularly if you're, say, Caleb Downs, who is in the process of entering the transfer portal?
You go to Georgia, right?
I presume so.
Or apparently Florida State, because that's where everybody is ended up at in this situation. So I don't understand how. I mean, is there a way to fix this? Is there, hey, I get opening the portal for 30 days. I get that. And that's not to say that Alabama can't recruit the folks who are in the portal already, by the way. They can take commitments from people who are in the portal already, if they so choose.
And they can also get their guys back.
They could. Yeah, they can always, recruit them to stay. But there's already a spring portal period.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like to me, in the middle of January, when classes have started almost everywhere across the country, that you don't go into the portal, you just ride it out through the spring and get into the portal then. I mean, I don't know if this is a portal problem, if it's a player problem, or if it's, hey, let's think this through, because I think that's an issue, is that there are kids who aren't thinking this through. And I think that's a portal problem from no matter when the portal is open.
Either they're not thinking it through or they're getting bad info, bad advice, or both.
And that's why I hate tampering, but I also feel like, well, at least they know they got a landing spot. And so it's kind of a weird situation for me. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if I want to like tampering, because, I would hate for a kid to go into the portal and end up someplace where he can't play or end up nowhere.
or go into the portal from Vanderbilt and come out at UT Martin like a running back did here in the last bit. Cannot think of his name off the top of my head, but I saw it on Twitter last night.
Well, I mean, and in those situations, maybe that's what they need. You know, going those kids who were D1 or bust, right? Realizing that, unfortunately, I'm not D1. Some of them are going to learn that they need to go where they can play. But that doesn't happen after a coaching change.
Yeah, well, and we're not talking in every instance about kids that can't play.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about, you know, if those are the kids we're talking about, they were in the portal in December when it opened. They weren't waiting until Nick Saban was no longer the coach.
Right.
So does this 30-day period need to work? Does this need to stay? I don't know.
I don't either. I mean,
the 30-day period is the issue here, I think.
So you think the period is too long? Or
well, I think that if a coach leaves, that you just got to wait till the next portal opening there is, because there's one in December, there's one in the spring. It just is. You got to wait till the next portal, or.
But the flip side of that is, there you go, penalizing kids for things beyond their control again.
I understand.
This one here is about a zero-sum deal. I mean, either the advantage goes to the players here, or the advantage goes to the school here. And if you make the players wait until the next period, then, like you said, they may or may not have anywhere to go. And why are they being penalized for a coach's departure? Even if it is Nick Saban. So, I mean, I don't know. I know it looks really bad, but either you're for the kids or you're not. I don't know.
I think
I don't know how you fix this. I don't know how you fix it and balance it. Now, you can do something to it, but I don't know. You talk about gray areas. I'm not sure there is a gray area here. This one might just be black or white.
Kids commit to coaches, not schools. That's the era that we live in, because here's the thing.
We've lived in that era for a long time.
Right. There's no more regional alliance. You don't grow up a fan of Alabama and you're going to Alabama because it's Alabama. I mean, there's some of that, but not a lot. The internet has created a very small world, and everywhere is your backyard. You're a literal hop, skip, and plane ride away from anywhere. And they'll pay for you to come. So I made an argument, and I'm way over time, so it is what it is. I made an argument to Joe Rexroad and Graham Couch a while back that that college football fans are fans of the school, no matter whose name's on the back of the jersey. They're a fan of the name on the front, because you kind of have to be in a non-professional world, because you don't have players for 10, 15 years. You have them for 2 or 3. But I'm afraid they may be right, that the longer that we allow the freedom of movement 1, 2, 3, 4 times, people are going to get burnt out. Fans are going to get burnt out. trying to figure out what's going on, who's on my team. I can't root for this kid. I can't root for that kid. I don't even know who's on the team.
Just root for the team. I mean,
I think they're right. I think the emotional investment is going to diminish. Whether it should or not, I don't know. But I think that the unintended consequence of this is college football, particularly basketball to a lesser degree, because you've had one and dones for a long time. College football fandom is going to diminish.
I think we've idealized the sport in a manner that, once again, puts the people who are most invested in the sport at the bottom of the pecking order.
Most invested in what way?
In the ones that can have careers ended on the field. The players create the game. You don't have a game without players.
Okay, that's fine.
And yet they're the ones that we want to hold the most responsible for upholding the game and its ideals and everything else. We want to put that on them, that because they are able to move from school A to school B, they're killing the game. The game that without them there isn't.
Okay. But what happens when they do? And then future players have nowhere to go. What happens when they do? What happens when the University of Alabama has 47,000 people in the stands instead of 100 or 12, or it looks like a UAB game, and then they get no money? What happens then? I think there's I think there's a long-term problem that we're going to deal with. Because here's the thing. Football programs don't exist without fans.
Okay.
I'm worried that we're in a really bad cycle. And I don't think anybody has the answer.
I don't think anybody has the answer. And I've said for months that both NIL and the transfer portal need tweaking.
I think the NCAA is a problem. Here's the thing. There is one way to fix this. There's one way to fix it, Mo. It's very simple. 4-year contracts. That's it. That's the only way to fix this. Kids are employees. They get paid the wages that they should get paid because they should be paid. And they're under contract for 2, 3, or 4 years. That's up to them. Doesn't have to be a 4-year contract. Could be a 2-year contract for some player, whatever. When that contract's up, they can leave. And I think that's what Nick Saban was alluding to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're going.
It addresses a lot.
It addresses both transfer portal and NIL.
I'm sure there will be some unintended consequences of that as well, but
sure,
it kind of hits at the problem a lot more than where we're at right now. So
I would think. Anyway,
we should probably take a break.
Let's take our break. Sorry, Terry. We kept you waiting. We'll get to you right now, right after this. Stick around.
He shoots and he scores!
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Terry McCormick is standing by now with your Daily Titans update. What's up, Terry?
It is your Daily Titans update and brought to you, as always, by Zen Sports. Yesterday, we talked about building blocks that the Titans had on the offensive side of the ball. Well, today we're going to flip around and talk about the defense. And because of contract situations, they don't have as many building blocks as you might think they do. I count 5. Jeffrey Simmons, an obvious one. Harold Landry, another obvious one. Arden Key at the other outside linebacker spot. Roger McCreary, nickelback. Amani Hooker, safety. Now, would you like to keep Danico Autry and Sean Murphy-Bunting and Aziz Al-Shaair maybe? Possibly, with the right deals. Autry, I think, is a guy that they ought to try to sign back. But here's the problem. Not only are these guys free agents, but there's a lot of uncertainty. You've blown up the coaching staff. So Mike Vrabel, the guy that they were loyal to and played for, is no longer here. Those guys, especially if Vrabel goes somewhere else or if, somebody else from that staff goes somewhere, they may be more interested in moving on themselves than staying here with the Titans. I know Sean Murphy-Bunting said at the end of the year that he would absolutely love staying here with the Titans. He loved it here. The team fought. Said he felt like that even though the season didn't go the way that they had wanted it to, that, everybody was still together, pulling in the same direction. I think Al-Shaair said the same thing, but that was for the past staff. So who knows what's going to happen going forward with this defense. And we know they've got a lot to fix on offense, but they've got more than you would think to fix on defense, given that the contracts are up and the coaching staff is up in the air right now.
At the same time, Terry, when you talk about Simmons and Landry, particularly with the year Landry had coming off the knee injury, that's a pretty nice place to start, I would think.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, if you could say, give me dominant inside, defensive tackle who's going to take on double teams and win most of the time, and then give me a nice edge rusher who's going to put up double-digit sacks. That's a great place to start. But, they still got to have a lot of pieces, a lot of help in the secondary. They're going to need at least 3 new cornerbacks because McCreary is the only guy that they have returning that you can count on. He's a nickel back, doesn't really do much on the outside. Fulton and Murphy-Bunting are both free agents. And then at safety, Hooker is the only guy returning, and he's coming off an injury.
Are we ready to characterize McCreary as a guy you can count on?
He's close enough for the role he plays. I think he did a good job this year. I think if you looked at guys who made a nice jump from year 1 to year 2, I think he'd be on the list of guys right there at the top that made a much better contribution than he did as a rookie, because I thought as a rookie, he maybe hit that wall and broke down over the last half of the year, sort of like we saw Peter Skoronski do this year, playing through that first rookie season in the NFL. I think McCreary, I'm not ready to say he's the next Sauce Gardner or anything like that, but I do think he's a usable guy that can fill a role on this team going forward.
It's interesting that you say that because, this defense has a lot of role players, a lot of guys who really do one thing well, but they don't do much else well at all. And I don't know if there's a problem there. Like, I don't know if the defense can be successful with guys who need to be playing corner, having to play nickel, or guys who need to be playing, safety having to play corner or something like that. And it really feels like we have a lot of very specifically skilled guys on that defensive side of the ball. Is there anybody who really jumps out at you who is kind of outside of, and I feel like there's one name, but do you feel like there's somebody who jumps out at you as the guy who can move around and give you snaps at different places?
Go ahead and tell me who you got in mind.
Well, I think it's your edge. Crap, I just lost the name. Not Arden Key, the other guy. You just said his name. No, you just said his name.
Shahir?
Nope, the guy we wanted to keep. He was on the list.
Oh, Danico Autry.
Autry gives you he's one of those guys who can give you, a lot of snaps in different positions.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I feel like that's a guy that you got to keep no matter what.
Just for his versatility. His versatility at a high level. I mean, he's not just a guy who can play a bunch of different spots. He's a guy who can play a bunch of different spots and be productive.
Yeah, so, put up 11 and a half sacks. The reason, he's a free agent. I think, if I'm Rand Carthon, I'm sitting down with Danico Autry and his agent and saying, listen, we know you're 33 years old. We know that Mike Vrabel is gone. Shane Bowen may not be back. Don't know about Terrell Williams. That's one of the assistant coaches I think they really ought to make a concerted effort to keep, in my opinion. The other one I think is Charles London because he, meshed really well with Will Levis in their time together this year. But back to Autry, I think, at 33 years old, if you're the Titans, you offer him a nice 2-year deal to say, we want you to stay here and be part of this while we rebuild. Now, if you're Danico Autry, you may be looking at it going, this thing is in shambles. I want to go somewhere where I got a chance to win. So, that remains to be seen. But if I'm Rand Carthon, I'm giving him my best sales pitch.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that, I don't think if you're Rand Carthon, you necessarily have to wait on a coach to be hired to make that pitch. Now, Autry may not be comfortable signing without knowing who the coach is, but I mean, what he does is universally appealing.
Oh, no doubt. And that's the thing, and here's the other thing though, that makes it, scary. Talk about not knowing who the coach is. You would assume that given Harold Landry's skill set, given Jeffrey Simmons' skill set, that the Titans would stick with a 3-4 alignment, but that's not a guarantee. What if the new guy comes in and says, nah, we're going back to the 4-3. Now what are you doing?
Ooh. Yeah.
So got to be some things cleared up and some things that go on. And in these coaching interviews, I think, you're asking these guys, okay, what kind of system are you bringing here and how does it fit the personnel we have on hand?
Or you hire one of the names that's been thrown out today who the reason that people like him is because he just does what fits. And so, I guess there are options, but the defense was supposed to be the strength of this team. It was middle of the road at best. It's got to get better, and mainly at the defensive backfield position, obviously.
Well, and I don't know. Kevin Byard did not look great the other night. But I don't know that you take somebody like that out of your defensive backfield in mid-season and not lose anything.
Yeah, certainly. The thing of it is, everybody was happy for Byard when he got a chance to go to the Eagles, thought he might get a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but there seemed to be some real problems up there. And it didn't look like Kevin did not look like the same player the times I saw the Eagles on TV. He absolutely did not look like the same ball hawk type of safety and leader that he was here with the Titans for 7 or 8 years. And I don't know if they asked him to do different things up there. I don't know if he's lost a step, but I do know this. Even if Kevin Byard has lost a step, he's one of the smartest players I've seen come through that organization on the defensive side of the ball. He's smart enough to compensate, and it didn't look that way with the Eagles.
Well, I think it's interesting that you say that, because I thought he played poorer even as a Titan earlier this year than he had in the last few years. So I think it was more of him losing a step, but I don't think that's why the Eagles wanted him. The Eagles, I feel like, wanted him to be that locker room guy, to be that glue guy. And that locker room was in such shambles that it didn't matter
even he couldn't fix it.
Even he couldn't fix it. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's an interesting, because I thought he played rather poorly as a Titan early in the year, based on Kevin Byard standards, not normal people standards, if that makes sense. I thought he was a fine player, but not to what we had expected. So it's interesting that, you don't not having your quarterback on the defensive side of the ball certainly makes a difference. It absolutely does. So, and I don't know that they've got a guy that they can make the quarterback that's currently on this roster.
I don't think
Hooker's probably the closest.
Yeah,
Hooker's probably the closest guy.
But do you want that guy?
The secondary.
I don't think. I think you're right, Chris. I don't think that guy is on the roster. So I don't know if they get that guy via free agency or whether they draft that guy, but he's not there right now.
That's going to be tough. Well, anything else that we need to know about Terry?
Well,
Coaching,
we'll touch on
search
the coaching
names.
search a little bit. Of course, you probably saw the ESPN report that predicted Aaron Glenn to the Titans as their head coach. Now, I was told by some people in Detroit that he would actually be a good fit here, and that he is a, quote, leader of men. So if they're looking for a Mike Vrabel type with a more suitable personality for getting along with playing well with others, then maybe Aaron Glenn is their guy. They did request a second interview, which would be an in-person interview with Brian Callahan. That's according to also from Graziano. And then I believe they were scheduled to go through the Zoom interview with Dan Quinn today, hopefully asking him why Jordan Love and the Packers absolutely torched his defense on Sunday.
Yeah. How does that happen? Should be interesting.
Jordan Love has gotten really a lot better over the second half of the year. If you showed me him the first half of the season, Jordan Love, I was like, this guy ain't it. You show me the Jordan Love that's playing now, I'm like, the Packers have got another franchise quarterback on their hands.
Which is absurd. But whatever. Terry, as always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow, get more information on what's going on in Titan World.
All right. Sounds good, guys.
The new sports betting app exclusively in Tennessee the last few months, and I'm excited to share with you some big news. Now, when you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports with up to plus 500 odds, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to a $1,000 maximum within 24 hours if the bet loses. And there's more good news. Zen Sports is rolling out its brand new VIP rewards program. This new VIP rewards program will allow top-tier customers to earn more bonuses, comps, and perks. The VIP program is by invite only, so if you feel your Zen Sports play qualifies for VIP consideration, please check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and faster withdrawals than Zen Sports. So what are you waiting for? Get going and download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
Smiles. These are the healthy smiles of real Delta Dental members. Folks with access to the nation's largest network of dentists and low-deductible plans with 100% preventive care coverage, all backed by over 65 years of expertise. Go online or give us a call to learn about affordable individual plans that meet your needs. 1-855-844-0445.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Witness more than 1,000 handcrafted Chinese lanterns featuring brand new designs, including towering mythical beasts, a life-sized Santa's workshop, and a 100-foot-long dragon. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Before we get to Joe Sullivan, Mo, some 50 minutes ago, Vanderbilt Twitter made it official that Jerry Kill, former New Mexico State head football coach, will be joining the staff with Clark Lee at Vanderbilt in an off-field role as chief advisor to the head coach, chief consultant, to the head coach, and senior offensive advisor.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, among others, Pete, and I wish JP was here, Pete Thamel tweeted on January 11th, sources, Vanderbilt football is in the process of hiring longtime college head coach Jerry Kill to a staff role, expected to be an off-field consulting role where he'll work with Clark Lee and offensive coordinator Tim Beck, who came from New Mexico State as well. This was pretty widely reported a week or more ago, soon after Kill stepped down as coach of the Aggies. So I don't know what took it so long to become official on West End, but apparently it is.
Yeah,
he's quoted in an article from January 11th on Yahoo Sports. You always look for the right fit, and this is down my wheelhouse. I think what I've done for a long, long time fits how I can help Vanderbilt and help try to move the program forward. So, he was pretty pointed with, what he was doing and where he was going at that time. So, but again, It's official.
It is official on West End now. So let's go now. Speaking of West End, Vanderbilt planning to play a basketball game against Auburn tonight in Memorial Gymnasium. So we go to the proprietor owner of NashvilleHoops.blog, Joe Sullivan. Joe, what's up, man?
Well, you scared me there for a second because when you said Vanderbilt just announced, and I was like, wait, Stackhouse fired? I thought. Wait a second. I thought you might be going that way since you were setting me up. But no, positive news with Jerry Kill coming in, who's proven to be a very good coach for a long time. I think a lot of people, speaking of Vanderbilt and Jerry Stackhouse, people are trying to seek out the amount of what his buyout might be now. We've gotten to that point. Who's going to pay it and how if they're going to pay it all. So if it's too large, then he will be here next year, I would think. I don't see, historically, this is in Alabama we're talking about, right, guys? They're not going to be able to just buy someone out.
I think if enough of the right people decide he needs to be gone, the money can be there. I think traditionally, as a friend of mine says, if money is the issue, then there's not an issue. I think there are a few of those types over at Vanderbilt in certain situations that can take care of that if that's the case. Vanderbilt, one of two winless teams in the Southeastern Conference play going into this game against unbeaten Auburn. So
I was exchanged text messages with a friend of mine who is a Vanderbilt season ticket holder for football and men's basketball. Now, there's a guy who's dedicated, right? And I said, "So
who's a masochist."
So where do you stand on this coach, this team? And his answer is one I'm hearing from a lot, that he respects Stackhouse, but he thinks he's more of an NBA style coach than a college coach, and that he would probably be succeed in the NBA where he wouldn't in college basketball. We've known coaches like that, and vice versa. Rick Pitino being one of the leading examples of that, who failed as coach of the Boston Celtics. And maybe that's an out for Vanderbilt. Maybe it's some sort of NBA offer from Jerry Stackhouse that's enticing enough. I'm pretty a downer today, huh?
No, that's okay. I mean, we've not seen any.
We're going to get creamed, right?
I'm sorry?
They're going to get creamed tonight by Auburn.
There's no reason to think otherwise. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not predicting anything for Vanderbilt, other than they're going to win one of the next 4 games.
So that would be Auburn at home tonight, at Mississippi State, Tennessee at Memorial, at Auburn.
That would be the next 4.
Yeah. And then Mizzou at home on February 3rd. That one, and that's followed by Kentucky after that.
Maybe it's that Mizzou game because Missouri is the other winless team.
Nope, that's not the type of game they're going to win. They'll get beat more by Missouri at home than they will by Auburn. It's just Vanderbilt. It's Vanderbilt basketball. It is what it is.
Okay.
So you can't. There is nothing normal about Vanderbilt basketball.
So you're calling the UT game, aren't you?
Probably. Because I have Ball syndrome.
They beat them last year.
They did a different basketball team, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
jeez, I just this is that program. This is the team that I don't. They are who they are. They're gonna beat somebody they're not supposed to beat. They're gonna ruin somebody's year, and it's probably gonna be Tennessee's. Maybe it'll be Auburn.
Last night.
I'd rather it be Auburn.
What were you saying about last night, Joe? I'm sorry.
I thought Tennessee looked great last night. With Connect going for 39 points, and if he's going to play offense like that, we know they're a great defensive team. That's when they look really good. The struggle for them is on the offensive end.
He can't do that every night, can he?
No, he cannot. No, that's an exceptional night. You're absolutely right.
I just wanted to be sure.
Running 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, 36 at Georgia and 39 last night. I mean, maybe he can. And 28 the game before that, I believe. But no, I don't think that's sustainable. Somebody else is going to have to step up at some point. Who is the next person? We've not had a big JoJo James game recently.
I need an explanation. What are we going to do here?
We've not had a big. We're getting a little bit out of your wheelhouse here. It's going east, but Jordan Josiah James has not had a big game of late for UT. Maybe it's time for him to pop up with one.
Well, he could. I think one of the biggest improvements for Tennessee is Ziegler finally being 100% like he was before he tore his ACL. He is playing great. And again, he helps make the offense go. You're not looking for him to score a bunch of points. I mean, he'll score some, but that helps get Connect in position to score 39 because you got a good guy running the offense. And certainly if Josiah James can start contributing too, this is a team you probably could think Final Four aspirations, considering how well they play defense.
Man, don't say that to UT fans. Good Lord.
They get too excited? Is that
Well, I mean, Chris will tell you batted ball syndrome is real, and they would just as soon keep expectations as low as possible, because when you start talking Final Four and then they lose in the Elite Eight, then that's an issue. So just
didn't fire Rick Barnes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's half our fan base right now.
At any point.
So they don't understand. It's a one and done tournament. It's 40 minutes. Something, anything can happen.
But Rick Barnes is, he's never gone past the second round. So
he hasn't. You're right.
That's tell them that, whatever. But anyway, nonetheless, let's go back to Nashville.
Yeah, because Belmont's trip to Terre Haute didn't go very well.
Oh my God. So Isaiah Swope, on his way to being Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley, hit 6 consecutive 3-pointers in like a 11-minute stretch in the first half. It was like sort of a game, but in this Indiana State was ahead, and then he hits 6 in a row, and suddenly it's a 19-point game, and it's over. He's really something, and so are they. Casey's talked about, they just, he admits it was a poor effort. They just have to move past it. Tonight they have Northern Iowa at home at the Curb Center. I'll be heading up there later, and 8 o'clock tip. And this is a dangerous game tonight. Northern Iowa, who started poorly but has won 6 of their last 7, even though Belmont beat them by 20, 90-70 in Cedar Falls back in November. All the way back in November, they played a conference game. I still think this is a tricky game, and they're missing Jacoby Gillespie, their stellar point guard. So interesting game, I think, at the Curb tonight.
So I was right, Mo. It was Northern Iowa, not Northern Illinois. I just
typed Northern Illinois in the rundown.
I typed Illinois, and that was wrong. So I was right and also wrong. That's the story of my life.
Hedging your bets. There you go. I was just trying to pull up their schedule.
Well, how much of that trip to Terre Haute being a problem was Jacoby Gillespie being out?
Well, I think a big part.
Not 30 points, but
not 30.
No,
points.
I don't look. I don't think they win that game. I don't think many people are going to win going into Terre Haute this year. Indiana State's clearly the best team in the league, but they're just they don't have the depth to replace someone as key as Gillespie. And Casey Alexander, the Belmont coach, I should speak in full sentences here, not in code, likes to play a lot of players, and he doesn't have enough players to do that this year. So imagine losing one of your best ones and the people that you're going to have to put into the lineup. Now, Keshawn Davidson moves into the lineup. He's a good player. He hasn't been shooting well this season, but he's a good player. But who's going to take Keshawn's minutes? That's the problem. He really doesn't have anyone. So, I mean, Keshawn against a recent game, he played 37 minutes. So there's your answer about, like, he's just not going to put anyone else in if he can avoid it. And it is a problem for them. And so they won't, they don't say what the wrist injury is, but he's wearing a cast. But they will say, they use weeks in terms of recovery is the term they use.
That game was a particularly tough outcome for Belmont, I would think, Joe, when you consider that Robbie Avila only had 10 points and 11 rebounds.
That's our boy. He's shaped like us.
Like you, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, when you, I don't know, limit him to 10 and they still score 94, that's a tough night.
It is a tough night. I only watched the first half because it was this was over.
You'd
I
seen all
moved
you
on.
needed to see, huh?
Yeah, and
Stop. He's already dead.
yeah,
Well, it's 48-32 at the half. So
you know they have a really great starting lineup. They have a lot of people that can contribute. Their point guard I like a lot, and in my tradition on this show, I'm forgetting a name, but
I can't help you with that one.
I know. It's Larry Julian Larry. I think that's his name. He is terrific.
First names get you every time.
And they have this transfer, Ryan Conwell, who played really well Saturday. They're just a great team, and I the only way Belmont's going to get to the NCAA tournament is if they upset them in St. Louis in early March in the tournament, in the Arch Madness. That's the only way they're going to get there. And hopefully they'll have Gillespie back, because I think without him, they're not going to be able to do it either.
Arch Madness. Is that not a great name?
It is. That's really why it sticks. It's like Frozen 4 for the NCAA hockey Final Four.
Yeah.
When it works, it works.
Joe Sullivan of NashvilleHoops.blog joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Joe, what else has got
look,
you fired
if we're going
up?
to talk about, here's Lipscomb is our team in Nashville. If they're going to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. And we had a story on the site this week, excuse me, about their point guard, Joe Anderson, who in his last 4 games has 26 assists and 1 turnover.
Ooh,
26 assists, 1 turnover. So this is their point guard. He transferred from Furman, didn't play at all at Furman. He's a teeny tiny guy. They list him at 6 feet. Not sure he's that tall. 175 pounds. I doubt it. But very quick with the ball. And when I saw them in preseason and the first couple of games, Lenny was telling me how much Lenny Acuff, the coach at Lipscomb, was telling me how much he loved this kid. And I'm going, I don't understand the love. I've changed. Now I understand the love. This kid is really playing great. And Lenny predicted this. And he is, he's really come into his own and made this team better with his playmaking ability. And what's another plus for Lipscomb is Darian Boyd, their leading scorer, is now back from his broken thumb. And when I talked to him after the game Saturday, he told me, no pain, non-play. I'm 100% ready to go. He was back in the starting lineup, played 30-plus minutes. So he's full. He's good to go. And what was a surprise for Lipscomb on Saturday was his freshman center, Dylan Faulkner, 6'8" guy from Georgia, who had showed a little bit of ability. But, boy, Saturday was something else. And whether he can sustain it, I don't know. But he had 15.7 rebounds, 5 blocks, a couple of, dunks off of lobs from Boyd. That could be a big difference if he can give them a big man come off the bench who could really change the game when he comes in. So we're high on Lipscomb right now. The schedule is easy for them coming up. Central Arkansas and North Alabama, winnable home games. They're undefeated at home. And then they have 3 straight games in Florida, and that's going to be where something will go either way for them this season.
That's a lot of purple. Central Arkansas, Lipscomb, and UNA. All in one. That's a lot of purple.
Hey, you know what I noticed last week? And this is really getting off topic, but I love uniforms and different types of uniforms. And North Alabama, I noticed they were wearing home uniforms that said Florence State, which I found out that's what the school used to be called, and I wasn't aware of that. So I thought that was pretty
Take you back to the Harlan Hill days.
There you go.
Harlan Hill, namesake of Division II's most valuable player, most outstanding player trophy in football.
You talk about a trip to Florida for Lipscomb, Joe. They might be looking forward to that after their last one.
How you guys holding up in this? It's I own the only shovel on my neighborhood here.
I was going to ask if you had a shovel.
Yeah, I brought it down. I brought it down from Boston when I moved here. So my driveway looks beautiful. That's all I can say. I was out there. I know how to do this.
If you want to come down to Franklin, I got a driveway waiting on you because I figure eventually it'll melt off and As long as there are no games to go to, I don't have anywhere to go, so I'm good.
Yeah, schools are all closed, right? So
exactly.
I know you get out to those high school games.
Joe said he was going to the game tonight. You may be the only person there, Joe.
Yeah, I don't have to leave early, right? Well, I should for traffic, but no one else will be there. Yeah.
But I will say the last time I went to the curb, Mo, was that Jacksonville State game, and it had just iced and snowed that day too. And finding a parking spot over there with snow is a little janky. So, of course, they were doing some construction too, so that probably didn't help. But you may, I don't know, there may be some parking issues. You may have to.
How long ago was this, Chris? I mean, they have the parking garage attached to the arena. I mean, there's never a parking problem there.
I was not aware of a parking garage, apparently.
Oh, goodness.
I guess, yeah. It's easy. You don't even have to go outside practically.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it a little easier because I tried to park on the street.
No, there's a parking
rookie
garage.
mistake.
It was. Well, I was a rookie, so I was a rookie. I did not know. We made it in, but it gets a little crazy over there because those hills,
Yeah.
It is where it is. So, luckily, Joe knows how to drive in it because he's a Yankee. So
yeah, I just got to worry about the other people. Yeah.
Good luck. That's all I can say. NashvilleHoops.blog. Joe Sullivan. Make sure to visit it. Check it out. And we appreciate your time again, as always, Joe, and look forward to talking to you again next week.
Always great to be with you guys. Thank you.
Stay warm, man.
All right, let's take a break. The weirdest and wildest news from across the world coming your way in just a moment. Stick around. Main Street Sports today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, bad news. Reported just after we talked about this a little earlier. Reported by Travis Salchik, Sawchik. That's an unfortunate name. The only 5 MLB teams broadcast that will be available on Amazon Prime: Tigers, Royals, Marlins, Rays, Brewers. These are the 5 clubs that Diamond or Bally hold the streaming and linear cable rights. For the other teams tied to Bally, the clubs own their streaming rights. So apparently the Braves have streaming rights, but have not given them to us.
Well,
so
maybe that's their plan then.
Perhaps. Now, we start Wild and Wacky Wednesday, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, with an update. We have an update from not last week, 2 weeks ago,
Oh, goodness.
where the lady's driveway was stolen.
Okay.
She started a GoFundMe page to raise money that was needed to replace it. $13,500 later, she was able to replace the driveway, but Orange City-based Concrete Specialty caught wind of what happened and offered to replace the driveway for free. After closing the fundraiser, despite still being short on cash amid the process of trying to sell her house, she said, "How can I put this money to better use?" Well, she donated it with the help of Nine Family Connection and McCoy Federal Credit Union to the Russell Home charity. Russell Home specializes in the care of newborns, children, and adults with severe disabilities, and will expand the number of permanent residents receiving 24-hour care, due in part to this $10,000 donation from the woman whose driveway was stolen. So a happy ending.
Good for her.
All around.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great that worked out that way. So she was able to sell her house then, as she had anticipated, or what?
I did not see if she has sold the house. Apparently she is she's still amidst selling it and is short on cash apparently, but was able to still donate the money. So pretty exciting stuff there. Mo, let's go to Coleman, Alabama. We stuck in Alabama last week. Might as well stay there. As motorists on I-65 were surprised. You've heard the joke about the guy who called his dad and said, "Dad, be careful. There's a guy driving the wrong way on the interstate." He said, "One guy, it's all of them." Well, Justin, show the video. This is that guy. Son, it's not just one, it's all of them. That was a close call there. This red minivan is just testing. I don't know how it's at no point does it even think about crossing the median. No, it wants to go down the hill.
It's given a right turn signal.
Yeah. But you missed all the medians. Now you're stuck.
Oh, goodness gracious.
What do you do if you are one of those cars? I mean, I'm not driving.
No.
I'm pulling over.
I'm getting over on the far right shoulder and
stopping.
Yep. And letting them go by.
But
I've actually had that happen to me a couple of times.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's weird that it
have
happened twice, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I did. Got over to the far right and let them go by. But it's scary. It's especially scary at night when it's headlights.
You just see headlights coming.
Yes. Yes. So
at least it was daytime. See, Alabama folks, man, they're killing us these days.
Oof,
why don't we get to Kentucky for a little while? We'll go to Lexington, or at least the AP Bureau out of Lexington. Kentucky City has come up with an out-of-this-world campaign to promote tourism. Oh, it is Lexington. The Lexington Convention and Visitors Bureau used an infrared laser to beam a message into space to invite extraterrestrial travelers. Well, I mean, we're having all these alleged aliens showing up anyway. After what may or may not have happened in Miami, I don't know if I'm inviting aliens to my city. 8 to 10 foot tall, they said. I don't know about that.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm just saying. So the first thing you'll notice as you descend through Earth's atmosphere above central Kentucky is the lush green countryside. I thought it was blue.
Maybe aliens don't know the difference between green and blue.
Well, the lush green countryside that surrounds Lexington's vibrant city center, that's our famous bluegrass. This is why we're picking on Kentucky. None of this even makes sense. It goes on to describe the gentle rolling hills, horse farms, and bourbon before suggesting places to stay, eat, and shop. Because that's, the extraterrestrials come in and I'm just going to, hi, man, take your order. Do you have a reservation? You don't need a reservation.
They just want to get some money down on the horses.
I mean, I don't even know what's going on here. The agency said it worked with scientists and scholars to beam the message toward potentially habitable planets in the solar system 40 light years away. The effort was led by Lexington native Robert Lauder, who's an expert in computer engineering, astrobiology, and search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It was sent with FAA approval, though, at least.
Well, there you go.
At least they got federal
because you don't want any violations. Yeah.
No. All right, we go to Florida, where a customer has filed a negligence lawsuit against Dunkin' Donuts, or not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. They're just Dunkin'. That's right. Claiming he was injured at one of the coffee chain's locations in Central Florida. Paul Kerouac is seeking more than $100,000 in a lawsuit filed Wednesday in state court in Orlando, claiming he suffered severe and long-term injuries following an exploding toilet. That's right. It's a really crappy situation here for Mr. Kerouac, as he was covered in human feces, urine, and debris. He walked out of the men's restroom seeking help from workers and the store's manager, according to the lawsuit. An employee told him that they were very aware of the problem with the toilet since there had been previous incidents. Where's the out of order sign, Mo? Did we lose it?
Previous incidents. I think that's
with an S. With an S.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to get Duncan in court.
When contacted by Thursday by email from the Associated Press, Kerouac, his attorney, Scott Spradley, said he was tied up in court and couldn't answer the questions until the following day. Well, it's better to be tied up in court than, tied up in a Dunkin' bathroom.
That
would be no good.
Be tied up. Yep.
Oh man, yeah. He required mental health care and counseling since the incident in January of 2022, 2 years ago. I would also require mental health and counseling with that situation. So,
yeah,
there you have it. The weirdest and wildest news from across the world and Florida. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow at 2:00 here on Main Street Media Television and Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Have a great day.